Hi guys, welcome to Susie Reality TV, also known as Susie Empire. Stay tuned for my reality. Thank you.
Yes, there are reasonable grounds to believe that Benjamin Netanyahu and his now former Defence Minister Yoav Gallant are responsible for war crimes and also crimes against humanity. Specifically, these war crimes are dealing with the use of starvation as a weapon of war, something that is prohibited under international conventions. And when it comes to crimes against humanity, it is saying that the two men are responsible for things such as murder, persecution and inhumane treatment of Palestinians in Gaza throughout the course of this war. We do need to stress this isn't a suggestion that Benjamin Netanyahu and Yoav Gallant were on the ground committing such alleged offences. This is saying that as the leaders of the Israeli government and being in charge of the Israeli Defence Force, they are responsible as effectively the commanders there, the top civilians involved there. The ICC has also issued an arrest warrant for the head of Hamas's military command, that is Mohammed Deif. This is a man who Israel says they believe they have actually killed, but that has never been confirmed by Hamas. And he is being accused under these arrest warrants of war crimes and crimes against humanity as well, for the murder, the rape, the torture of Israeli hostages back on October 7 when this war in Gaza began. The reaction that we've heard from the Israeli political class is pretty much all the same. Certainly all of the major parties, even those who are critics of Benjamin Netanyahu, have come out in support of him, saying that the ICC has overstepped here, that it is excusing Hamas's actions on October 7, going so far as to say that it is anti-Semitic. And we've heard from the Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu himself, in a very strongly worded video statement within the last half hour or so. He says that this is moral bankruptcy on behalf of the International Criminal Court, and he will not be swayed.
Citizens of Israel, no outrageous anti-Israeli decision will prevent us, and it will not prevent me, from continuing to defend our country in any way. We will not give in to pressure. Together we will stand, together we will fight, and with God's help, together we will win.
Matthew, what does this now mean for Australia?
This is a really interesting question, Emma, because Australia is one of the member countries of the International Criminal Court. There are more than 120 countries around the world which recognise its jurisdiction. Israel does not. That is why it can come out and make these sort of statements against the ICC's decision here. It is rejecting its jurisdiction. So too is the United States, also not a member to the ICC. And we've heard from the White House that it rejects these arrest warrants and is critical of them being pursued when war is still ongoing, saying it's a rush by prosecutors there. There will be a lot of questions being put to the Australian government as to how it will react. Will it enforce these arrest warrants if, for example, Benjamin Netanyahu or Yoav Gallant were to travel to Australia? We've heard from a number of other countries, including Canada, France, the Netherlands already this evening here in Jerusalem, saying that they will enforce these arrest warrants if Benjamin Netanyahu was to lob into their countries. But on the issue of Australia, this has been put to Anthony Albanese in the past when these were first being considered. He didn't want to speculate, saying that this was something he wanted the court to consider, and those questions will now be put to the government, of course. We have heard from Professor of International Law at the Australian National University in Canberra, Don Rothwell, and he has sort of explained what the equation now will be for the Australian government.
If Netanyahu or Gallant were to arrive in Australia, either in their current capacities or at some point in the future, even when Benjamin Netanyahu was no longer Prime Minister and the arrest warrants were still pending, Australia would be under a very clear obligation to give effect to those arrest warrants and to detain and arrest these individuals upon their arrival in Australia.
Is Don Rothwell from the ANU. So while that might be a hypothetical, it's not necessarily a case of Benjamin Netanyahu jumping on a plane and heading to Australia anytime soon. More broadly, this is a very significant measure because it will further affect how countries around the world deal with the Netanyahu government while this conflict is ongoing. Questions as to those diplomatic and political ties no doubt being asked throughout the day.